Hey guys, my name is Marta, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about Big Swiss by Jen Beagin. I am so sorry for mispronouncing her last name. I don't really know how that's supposed to sound like, but anyway, Big Swiss is a recent release in which we follow Greta, this woman in her 40s who has just left her partner and moved in with this woman named Sabine to a very old farmhouse in Hudson, New York. From there, she's going to be working as a transcriber for a psychologist whose name is and who is, for the most part, a sex therapist. One of the things that makes the place she moved into very peculiar is his state. It is a very old farmhouse that doesn't really seem to be taken care of. It is very dirty. It has a lot of remains from the previous centuries, and it's basically filled with little insects, such as this nest of bees that lives in the kitchen. However, because of her mental state and the trauma she has gone through, our main character Greta feels attracted to this way of living. The novel begins as Greta starts working as a transcriber and becomes intrigued by one of Om's patients, who has a very peculiar and intense voice and who is struggling with the aftermath of being sexually abused. She is, however, learning from that experience, and it is her way of seeing the world and seeing herself and what she has gone through what makes our main character so interested in her. One day, however, our main character, who happens to be the owner of a dog, is walking her dog and she encounters this woman that she calls Big Swiss because she happens to be Swiss. As she sees her and starts talking to her, they start to develop a very intense friendship that will soon become something more. This woman, however, happens to be married, although she doesn't really spend much time with her husband, and he thinks that they are just friends. As the relationship begins to develop, as well as Big Swiss starts to attend more and more therapy sessions, the relationship will start to get a bit more dangerous, as Greta is not supposed to be friends nor know who the patients she is transcribing are. The book is overall, as you can see maybe from the plot, a very messy description of feelings and situations of infatuation and obsession, as well as a discussion on trauma and grief, because Big Swiss is not the only person who's going through a lot, but Greta also is. She has her own past and traumas, such as her mother dying from suicide, and as well as some other things she is going through. Overall, I would say that this is a very interesting depiction of obsession and of love as both violence and as obsession, because our main character's view of love isn't exactly healthy, I would say, and it is also a great depiction of love as a safe space, because our main character, I guess, sees Big Swiss and Big Swiss's body as a safe space to be in. The book also has a very interesting conversation on trauma and on getting over it, as well as how different people approach trauma and choose to overcome it. You can really see in this book how Big Swiss has a way more positive attitude towards life than Greta does, and how their view on this topic sometimes makes their relationship clash. So this book also has a pretty interesting discussion on secrets and what keeping a secret can lead to, but it is overall, I would say, a very interesting depiction of womanhood and sisterhood especially. It's a book in which you really get to see how women get together in order to overcome something difficult, as well as the importance of communication in order to get better. This book also allows for a very interesting conversation on nature and animals and the natural habitat and humans, as we really get to see how our main character's dog is the only thing that keeps her going and that in a way keeps her sane, as well as these mini donkeys do at the very end. This can also be, however, a pretty hard book to read for some people. It is a novel that discusses very heavy topics such as the ones I have just mentioned, and it is also a novel that includes pretty violent scenes that might be too much for people who are sensitive to violence in fiction. That is something, however, that I really enjoy reading about. I don't know what it says about me, but I really like to see violence in fiction. I really like to think about the possible discussions that those type of scenes can lead into, and this is a novel that has a couple of those and that are very intense, I would say, and that are very well written, or at least to my particular taste. Moving on to the writing style, because I think that I have already discussed quite a lot about the different themes and topics that this book talks about. It is a novel that has a very beautiful yet sad writing style. It is physically easy to read, but it also has a lot of metaphors in the different descriptions that it provides, especially metaphors when it comes to the house and the state of the house. And it is a book that I think makes a great use of a third-person narrator, because I think that if we had happened to be in Greta's mind in this novel, we would have been blinded by her own point of view. And even though the book really follows Greta and Greta's thoughts, the fact that we don't really have a first-person narrator allows us to better analyze her thoughts without being too blinded by her way of seeing the situation he is in. I don't know if that made sense, but in my mind this is also a book that I really enjoyed for its descriptions. As I have said, they are very gruesome, but at the same time really appealing. They really make you think about what they all mean, and they have a lot to say about trauma and attachment and getting over or not getting over one's past trauma and struggles. This might, however, be a very hard book to read for some people, as I have said, but it is nonetheless a very great novel, and one that I would highly recommend. So overall, when it comes to my personal thoughts on the book, I think you can probably guess that I am going to say that I absolutely loved it. I gave it 4 stars. At the beginning I wasn't really convinced on it. I was enjoying it, but I didn't know how much I was going to like it. But as I went through it, as I went through the different chapters in it, I felt very attached to the characters and the story, and I think it is a very interesting discussion on love and obsession and trauma and healing and all of those many themes that I have already mentioned. So Big Swiss, a novel I gave 4 stars to, one I can see myself rereading in order to fully grasp, and one that I would highly recommend if you like cruel, violent stories that discuss sexuality, what it means to be a woman, trauma, mental health, and all those things that I have mentioned many times all through this video. So tell me down below if you have already read Big Swiss. What were your thoughts on it? Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. Give this video a like if you liked it, and I hope you have this amazing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!